Okay. Good evening. Good evening. Today is our final session. Yay! Or, oh, however you feel about it. We are not going to be on here long at all. I have some things that, just a few pieces of information that I need to give to you guys. And it will be done. I'll say 15 minutes at the max. If that, unless y'all have questions. So, just to jump right in. Last week I said that I was going to give you all the standard size, well, the correct size for your book cover to put in Canva. Remember, we talked about the standard size of a book being 6 by 9. Your pages are going to be 6 by 9, but when you do your book cover, of course, it's going to need to be large enough to cover the pages, meaning that when they measure book cover, they measure the whole book cover from here to here, including the spine, right? Well, your pages are not going to be that long. So when you're doing your cover, you have to accommodate for this particular piece. And if you go to Canva and you just, when you're doing your book and you are able to set the dimensions, you can't just put in 6 by 9 because you're not going to get the correct dimensions. So for your book cover size, you're going to need to do 12.749 by 9.375. Again, 12.749 by 9.375. And that is how you are going to get the correct book cover. This information is also in KDP, but you got to look a little ways. Hey, you got to look a little ways to find it. Like it's embedded in there. But this way it'll give you a head start on what you're doing. Also, the last thing we need to talk about are some things that you may want to include in your book, depending on if it's fiction or nonfiction, right? And then once I give you this information, we'll do Q&A. If y'all don't have no questions, then we're going to give y'all some time back. So if you're doing a nonfiction book, these are two sections that you may want to consider including in the book. It's your foreword and your preface. Your foreword is going to be written by somebody other than the author. It's going to be written by somebody who has actually read the book, who has some good insight on the book. It's going to give a brief description of the book, and it's going to give their opinion of the book. Usually it's someone who is in approval of the book, who has some good information to give about the book. And yeah, you definitely want somebody who's gonna, it's like their personal review of the book. They give a brief synopsis, they give their personal review, and then move on. Your preface is written by the author, and it tells why you wrote the book. It gives some insight into the author's mind in terms of what was their reasoning for writing the book. What expertise did they have in the subject matter that they're writing in? And again, these are primarily found in nonfiction books. Of course, in any book, if it's a chapter book, you're going to need your table of contents because you want to make it easy for people to get through it, right? It's the table of contents, the breakdown of the different chapters, the title of the different chapters. Thank you, Brittany. The breakdown of the different chapters, right? You're going to also need your introduction. We talked about before that your introduction gives an overall perspective into the body of the book. This is not your, well, it could be. Yeah, your introduction is going to be the over, basically like the segue into your book. It's going to give a brief synopsis of the book from the storyteller's point of view, right? So again, you have to go back into um, who's going to be telling the story. Is it going to be first person, third person? Is it going to be, are you going to have a combination of both, right? Most nonfiction books are written in third person, but it just depends. If you want a breakdown of the different types of storytelling tactics, then you can go back. I think it's in the first video that we talked about that in this series. But yeah, I think that's all. I didn't have a lot for you guys tonight. It was basically just those two things that I knew I needed to tell you in regards to being able to put together your book in Canva. I have not decided yet. A few people have asked me about doing a Canva tutorial. I have to be in the right headspace to teach that because it can get it's a lot of information. It's a lot of information, but like this cover here, none of these pictures go together. So if I were to do like a Canva workshop, I would show you how to put these images together so that they look like they actually go together. This girl and this car did not go together. This dude does not go with this, and this dude in the back was something. Like I took all of these different images and put it together to make it look like one photo. And so if I do decide to do, and then I put my name here as the author of the book. So if I do decide to do a Canva workshop, that's some of the things that I will be teaching on how to do, along with some of the other cool things that you can do in Canva in terms of being able to put pictures inside of letters, how to make images look like they're floating, how to make images look like they're a reflection of one another. So, yeah, that's about it. So, again, like I said, I wasn't planning on keeping y'all long tonight. I said 15 minutes at the max, if that long, because we didn't really have a lot to cover tonight. We have covered a lot in these last 5 weeks. I can't believe it's been 5 weeks already. May have been 6, but can't believe it's been that long already. But whatever questions that you guys have, feel free to go ahead and ask them now. Otherwise, like I said, I'll give you guys back some time. You can go and start working on your books. I want to wish you guys much, much, much success on your books. If you, some of you asked me about mentoring. I have not started that yet for this quarter. If I do, I will definitely be sending out emails to let you guys know. But yeah, I wish you guys much success. If you have general questions that you want to ask me, you can reach out to me on social media. And I will try to answer those questions to the best of my ability. I will try my best to actually get on there so that I can see your questions, because y'all know I'm not on social media like that. I don't have my notifications on, which means that I won't see your messages as soon as they come through. But you have my email address, I think. And again, social media is probably the best way. Or I'm going to leave up the Google Classroom for this particular session for maybe 2 more weeks. So you can definitely reach out to me there. But yeah, these sessions will also still be up. So if you missed anything, or if you just want to go back and watch the videos again to get caught up on everything that was done, then you can feel free to go back and watch those videos as well, because again, I will be leaving them up for a period of time as well. I think that's about it. I didn't have a lot of stuff to go over tonight because we have done a lot in these last 5 weeks, and they did go by fast. I hope that I was able to provide you guys with the best insight on how to go about self-publishing your book. And I will be sending out some surveys. If you guys would be so kind as to fill those out and send them back to me, I would greatly appreciate it. But other than that, that's it. Any questions before we sign off and say goodbye? Any questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, again, you guys can have some time back. You know how to reach me if you need to reach me. Again, Google Classroom. You can reach me on social media or my email address. But I wish you guys much success. Please, please, please feel free to go back and watch anything that you may have missed. Take notes, take notes, take notes. And don't be about dealing with writer's block. Um so I'm gonna be honest with you. I've seen a lot of people give advice on writer's block. I don't really buy into any of it. I feel like sometimes your brain just needs a rest, but you do want to always be able to perfect your gift. So something that I will do if I feel like I'm stuck, like let's say if I'm writing a story or whatever and I feel like I'm stuck and there's nowhere else to go, depending on how far I've gotten, I've asked myself, okay, is this the end of this story? Or if I'm just lost. So what I do is I step away from it for a minute. I may work on something else. I may start a whole new situation. Again, remember the tips that I told y'all about character development and creating stories. I journal. I people watch and write down what I see, right? Sometimes doing that will help stimulate your brain and get you back on track to where you need to be. So what I would suggest, the most honest thing that I would suggest is to figure out why you're stuck. Are you stuck because there's no more story to tell? Or are you stuck because you can't figure out how to lay out the particular storyline or the character for or that. So that's what I would say. Figure out what it is that you're stuck on. If you are in a place to where you don't have anything to write about, I would write about that. And what I mean by that is, as someone who has been journaling for a long time, if I'm in a place to where I'm just stuck and it's like I can't think of nothing, or my mind is maybe has 10 million things going on and I can't focus on that one thought, I would just start to journal about that. What's going on in my mind? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? If I'm maybe in a low place, if I'm feeling down or sad about something, I would write about that. So sometimes getting over what you're dealing with personally will help you get back into your creativity. As a creative, a lot of times you'll have a billion thoughts going on in your mind and it's hard to focus on that one. So you need to be able to get those thoughts out and able to be able to focus on what it is that you're doing at hand. That was a good question. You're welcome. Great, great, great question. Yeah, I've seen people give tips on writer's block and that a lot of it, in my personal opinion, lead people astray because it's not realistic. The main thing is to figure out why you're stuck, why it is that you're stuck and what you're stuck on. Sometimes you have too much going on and you can't concentrate. So it just depends on what it is that you're going through. Great question though. Any other questions before we call it a night? Any other questions? Again, I did not have a lot to talk about because we have covered a lot. We move faster than the book dimensions again. 12 point something. And I done closed my computer. It's gonna be 12.749 by 9.375. 12.749 by 9.375. Now, what you will notice is that when you look on KDP, it's gonna have a different dimension, but it's gonna say like 12.625 by 9.2 something. They use a different conversion scale, which I figured out by trial and error. Canva uses a different conversion scale, so if you try to put in the number that's on KDP, it's gonna automatically transfer to the 12.749 by 9.375. And again, the reason being is because these pages, like this page is 6 by 9, right? But your cover, although it's enough to cover the pages, it has to be enough to cover your spine as well. So that's why your dimensions are going to be different for your cover than it is for your actual pages. Again, if you are using Canva or Microsoft Word, you can set your pages to, before you start typing, you can set your page size to 6 by 9 and it'll automatically convert to that. In Canva, you can also download it as a PDF. And if you have an iPhone, I don't know if Androids do it, but if you have an iPhone, what I normally do, because I have the Canva app on my phone, I have the Word app on my phone. So a lot of times what I'll do is I will download the PDF, and depending on what I'm using, you can convert it to a Word document from your iPhone if you have Microsoft Word. You can do either one. You can convert it from a PDF to a Word or a Word to a PDF. You're welcome. So again, that's why I like using those, that software. I've been using Word for years. I've been using Canva since 2016, and they work for me. So I like to stay with what works for me. If you find something else that works better for you, roll with it. Work it until you can't work it no more. That's my motto. Work it until the worker stops working. Anything else? Thank y'all so much for rocking with me these 5 weeks and trusting my expertise in this area. I hope that I was able to pour into you all and give you as much insight as I can for you to be successful. Again, you can reach out to me on social media. The chat, the Google Classroom will still be open for a little minute. And you can reach me by email. And I think that's it. I will be sending out an email for a survey again. So if you guys would fill that out for me, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Other than that, you are so welcome. I'm gonna try to do it more often. Like I said, I haven't taught in like 4 years, maybe. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all. I really, really, really do. Y'all make me want to get back into it. I had stopped for a minute because it can be kind of overwhelming a little bit, but y'all really have made me want to kind of jump back into it. So I may start doing it more often. But yeah, won't hold y'all long. Give y'all some time back. Again, if you have questions, reach out to me. If you missed any part of the video, of course, you guys know you can go back and watch it, because we did talk about real quick the things that you may need in your book, depending on if it's fiction or nonfiction. I'll run through that real quick. Of course, if you have a chapter book, you want to outline those chapters, you need a table of content. Your introduction is going to give an overall perspective into the body of the story. Your foreword and your preface are going to be primarily if it's a nonfiction book, meaning that it's a truth-telling book. Your foreword is going to be written by somebody else. It's going to be basically their personal review of the book. And you want somebody who actually likes the book to do your foreword, right? Because that part is going to, they're going to be convincing other people to read the story. And it gives a brief overview and it gives their personal opinion of the book. Your preface is basically the introduction to the introduction. It tells why you have the expertise to write the book. It tells why you decided to write the book. But yeah, it's all about the why. But that's it. Anyway, I love y'all. Good night. Look for that email for the survey. And yeah, it's been cool rocking with you.